Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to announce that Joe Kennedy III is now with us. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief introduction, and I'm going to let him take over and speak to all of you. So Mr. Kennedy is currently running for Congress in Massachusetts' 4th Congressional District. Prior to running, he served as an assistant district attorney for Middlesex County, in addition to serving as assistant district attorney in Barnstable, Dukes, and Nantucket counties. Before his days as an assistant district attorney, Mr. Kennedy graduated from Harvard Law School, where he was a member of the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau, which is a student-managed pro bono law firm serving Boston's low-income neighborhoods. Mr. Kennedy has also been dedicated to bettering the Boston community, co-founding an empowerment program for at-risk youth in Boston. He served in the Peace Corps from 2004 to 2006 in the Dominican Republic. And then in 2010, the College Democrats in Massachusetts was also privileged enough to have him speak to 120 students at our campaign invasion in Plymouth for Governor Patrick. And so we're really, really excited now to have him back speaking to our students again. So without further introduction, Mr. Joe Kennedy.
Thank you guys very much. I didn't even see you right there. How we're doing? That is a very warm introduction. Thank you so much, Sam. And thank you for all that you've done over the course of your tenure at the head of the Emerson Democrats. You've done tremendous work. And I'm going to look forward to following you as you head off to Teach for America, I believe, next year. So congratulations. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. That some family members do it as well. You've done it. Kate Moore, thank you for organizing and putting together such a fantastic event. For those of you that don't know, I actually have our paths crossed before down at that event in Plymouth. We walked into this tiny little office and there was about 100 volunteers, and I was amazed once again. So you have done a tremendous job, and thank you for all that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor. This was when you start running for office, you get a lot of invitations to a lot of events. This one was a great one to receive. So thank you very, very much for the invitation. Your energy, your enthusiasm, your advocacy has not only been humbling, but will continue to be a key component of the work that we are trying to do over the course of this campaign. Your members have been some of the earliest and most dedicated volunteers for all along the campaign trail, and I'm so grateful to all of you for your support. Especially in a place like Massachusetts, the College Democrats are an essential part of our political conversation. Your perspective, your organizing ability, and your commitment and drive are truly unmatched by any students anywhere across the country. I can't stress enough how important it's going to be in this election, because the choices that are going to be made over the course of the days and months and the next couple of years are going to make a dramatic impact on the tenure, or on the trajectory of our country. That's your generation and my generation. Make no mistake, this is our fight. The debates playing out in Congress today over the deficit, the debt, Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, and education will determine the path of our nation. Many of the people making the decisions today will not be in power by the time those changes take effect. In other words, they are writing checks that in one way or another, you and I will have to cash, or have to pay. So we need to get involved in the debate. We need a seat at the table. And we need each and every one of you there. That's a big reason why I decided to get involved and to run for office. You know, one of the great privileges of actually running for office is that you get out and get around the community, and you get to meet people who are walking down the street, sitting in a coffee shop, they invite you into their homes. And if you actually ask them what's going on in their lives, they will tell you. You don't always want to hear what they say, they will tell you. So I was walking down the street the other day in Brookline, I saw the older gentleman walking by, and I said, "Hi sir, my name's Joe, I'd love to meet you and get your support." He said, "Yeah, I know you are." That's terrifying. And he said, "I'll give you one piece of advice, one thing that you can do to make you the greatest advocate for this new district." Great, what's that? He said, "Convince Barney Frank to run for re-election." Oh, well, can't win them all, right? But besides that, as you get out on the trail and get around the 4th District, people are worried about jobs, they're worried about healthcare, they're worried about education for their children, the viability of their social security, energy independence, the long-term challenges that our country faces. And I think those concerns all boil down to a very simple theme, that no matter who you are or where you came from, every person deserves a fair chance, a fair opportunity to make the most out of their hard work. That idea that every person in this country deserves to be treated fairly by each other and by their government. People feel that that doesn't necessarily hold true anymore. Before I even started about thinking of running for office, I had some experiences in my past that illuminated the challenges for people who weren't necessarily getting a fair shake in society. So after college, I worked in New York for a little while, then went off to the Peace Corps, and I was dropped off in the Dominican Republic. And everybody's got those little snapshots in life that you'll never forget. When that bus drove us away, and you're sitting there with a backpack, and pasty white, redhead, and in the middle of the Dominican Republic, backpack, or duffel bag, bus pulls away. Kind of go, hola. Right? It's a moment that will stick with you. But you figure it out, and I was assigned to work with this great group of guys who were young men, roughly my own age at the time, that were guides of this incredibly beautiful series of waterfalls that formed 27 natural water slides and cliff jumps as they came out of the mountains. So these big tour companies would bring in about 50,000 tourists a year to the base of these falls, where these guys would meet them. They'd walk them up to the water, swim through the waterfalls, climb up the rocks, haul them literally up through these falls. And they'd turn around and jump and slide all the way back down. And for all their hard work, these tour companies would charge 40 or 50, up to 80, and sometimes even $100 a person. And they gave the guys 10 cents. So I set to work with them, and it turned out that the area was a national park, but nobody really knew it. And the environmental industry that ran the national parks was broke. So I told them that we should actually manage it instead. You guys are broke too. Decent point. So we went out to UN and USAID, raised a bunch of money, about $150,000, bought some land, built a visitor center, retrained the guys in first aid and CPR, put in some life jackets and helmets, and then went back to them and actually won this contract that allowed these guys to set a per-person entrance fee. Part of it went to a fair wage. Part of it went to fund their own company for healthcare, education, sell souvenirs. Part of it went to an environmental preservation fund to fund national parks across the country. Part of it went to the landowners so they could actually get a piece of the pie for the first time. And for that last part, we created an entirely new model of development in the Dominican Republic. So $1 from every tourist that came in went to an independent fund overseen by an independent board that would take solicitations from the community and reinvest it right back into whatever they needed. And then they started off by buying a school bus, started a scholarship fund, built a police station, a bunch of basketball courts, bought in water pipes to bring clean water to several hundred homes. And then most recently, built a footbridge over one of the rivers that will flood out in the rainy season. It was an incredible time, and I found the work to be extremely rewarding. Came back from there in 2006, worked on my uncle, Senator Kennedy's last re-election, campaigned for re-election, and then went off to law school, where I spent most of my time working on this after-school program and in legal aid. And was very fortunate on the first day of class to meet my future fiance, copy her notes every day down and through. Very helpful all the way to getting me through law school. I had this incredible experience in law school, and it does, I think, a pretty good job for those of you considering it, teaching you the frameworks for society. But you learn pretty quickly after you get out in the real world that even sometimes our adherence to the most sacred principles fails to deliver what we might come to expect. I'd been in the DA's office for about 6 months, and I was low man on the totem pole. It was a Friday late morning when we finished all of the recent arrests, and a late one came in. My supervisor told me to run into the courtroom before my judge got on the bench started screaming at us. So I'm running in, and this couple steps in front of me as I'm about to walk into the courtroom. And he said, Father said, hey, we want to talk to you about our son. He just got arrested. I said, well, that's fine, sir, but I'm the prosecutor. I'm the bad guy. I'm the defense attorney. He's over there. He said, no, we want to talk to you. We want you to hold our son without bail. Not the typical response you get from a family going to pick up their kid at the courthouse. The father explained that their son had returned from fighting overseas, and he had gotten addicted to OxyContin. He'd stolen and sold almost every piece of jewelry that the family owned, and that he wasn't sure what he would do if his son were released that day. Case gets called, this young man stands up in handcuffs, and he turned to the judge. He did the most amazing thing. He apologized. He apologized to his family. And he said that he knew he needed help. He wanted to get help. And that he wasn't sure what he would do if he were released that day. Easiest bail argument I ever had to make. As far as I know, he went off to jail for the weekend and then off to treatment on that Monday. Now, there are some bad people out there that deserve to be put away, and I have done my part to do so. There are others, in the courts and outside, that deserve a helping hand. And you can't tell me that we're doing all we can for that young vet. You can't tell me we're doing everything we can for a man that just risked everything so that he could come back to that. And that really, I think, goes to the heart of what I believe this election is all about. It's about the trajectory of our country. What kind of country do we want to have, and how do we get there? Simply put, we now face a situation where for the first time in our nation's history, the next generation, our generation, is facing a situation that we might not be as well off as our parents. Without a fundamental change in direction, you and I will spend our lives having to clean up a mess that was left to us. So where do we want to go? Where do we want to be in 2050 when we are handing the world off to our children? Above all, I think we all want a full employment economy founded on an education system, a solid national infrastructure, and a society